Hello everyone, I am Nitesh Kumar, PGT Economics. I welcome you all at this platform EcoZone. We have discussed about many topics in our previous videos, in our previous classes. So today in this class we will discuss about collection of data. Collection of data is the second chapter of the book Statistics of class 11. So in this chapter we will learn about data and how data is collected. Okay, how data are collected. So there are many topics that we have to discuss under this chapter, under this video. So the first thing that we will discuss about this chapter is the introduction of this topic, that is collection of data. Then after we will discuss sources of data, like from where we collect the data. Then after we will learn how do we collect the data. Okay, how do we collect the data. Then after we will learn how to prepare the instrument. Okay, what is the process of preparation of instrument. Under that we will learn about features of questionnaire. Okay, you can see here we will learn about features of questionnaire. Then after we will learn about mode of data collection. Okay, so we will learn about mode of data collection. There are different modes through which we collect data. Then after there is important topic, that is pilot survey. Okay, so we will learn about the topic that is pilot survey. Then there are some other topics under this chapter. So another topics are, the first one here is population and sample. What is the difference between population and sample? So we will learn about this topic. Then after, another topic is random sampling and non-random sampling. What is the difference between random sampling as well as non-random sampling? Then there is another topic, that is sampling and non-sampling errors. When we make a sample from the population, some errors used to occur. Okay, so there can be sampling errors or non-sampling errors. So we will learn about both sampling and non-sampling errors. Under this topic, there are two types of non-sampling errors. Those are, the first one is sampling bias and the second one is non-response errors. Then there is census of India. Okay, so we will learn about what all those factors we include under census of India. Then after there is topic, that is NSSO, CSO and NSO. Earlier there used to be two different organizations, groups. NSSO, that was National Sample Survey Organization, and there was different, that was CSO, Central Statistic Office. So now both these two groups have been merged into one, and now there is the third one. This is the single, you can say single group for all these two different groups, NSSO and CSO. Both have been merged into one, and now that is NSO. Okay, National Statistical Office. So NSSO and CSO have been merged, and now there is only one, that is NSO. So CSO जो कि आपका that used to notify about GDP. Okay, so gross domestic production about, so CSO used to calculate those things, and about consumption and all those things NSSO used to do. Now both the things have been merged into one, and now the new thing that we have is NSO. So these are the topics that we have to discuss under this chapter, collection of data. So this topic, these topics, that was source of data, how do we collect the data, preparation of instrument. Under that we will learn about features of questionnaire, mode of data collection and pilot survey. So these topics will be discussed in this video. Okay, and these topics will be discussed in the part B of this chapter. So this chapter will be in two parts. So part A will include these topics, and part B will include this much topics. So right now we will discuss about these topics in today's class, in this video, only this much till pilot survey. Then from population and sample to NSO we will discuss in the part B of this chapter. Okay, in the different video. So let's start. The first one is introduction of data collection. So first we will have to understand what is data. Okay, so data is a tool which helps in understanding problems by providing information. Data, what is data? It's actually it is a tool. Okay, and what does it how does it helps? It helps in understanding problems. Okay, if we have any problems, okay, if you have to know about anything, so how you will know, okay, what are the problems? So then it will helps, data will helps in understanding the problems by providing information. Data provides information and that helps in understanding the problem. So if suppose if you will not be aware of anything, if you will not have information about anything, how will you understand the problems? So to understand the problems there is need of information, and that information is being provided by or in the form of data. So data is a tool which helps in understanding problems by providing information. Now there is the purpose of data collection. Like, what is the purpose of data collection? Why we collect data? So the purpose of data collection is to show evidence for reaching a sound and clear solution to a problem. Okay, so as in the first point that we discussed, that to by providing information, okay, we understand some problems. Okay, now to reach a sound and clear solution to a problem, now suppose we found the problem, we understood the problem, now how the problem will be solved. Okay, so in that way also we need some data. So data collection is to show evidence for reaching a sound and clear solution to a problem. So the first one is to understand the problem, also we need data, because data provides information. Now the second thing is, when we found the problem, now how we will solve. Okay, so to reach that evidence, okay, we need some data collection. Okay, we have to collect some data. Now to know the fluctuations in good food grain production, we need the data on the production of food grains in India for various years. Okay, now suppose you want to know the fluctuations in food grains production. Okay, if you want to know how much grains have been produced in different years, how you will know? You will go and you will collect data, then only you can know, or you can tell that this is the chronology of food grains production in our country or any country. If you want to know, so you will have to go and you will have to collect the data. So this is the way, this is the use of data. Okay, so to know the problems. Okay, now to reach at the evidence to solve the problem, these are the things. For that we need some data and we go for the data collection. Now the question is, where do data came from? Okay, from where the data comes, and how do we collect this? How do we collect this data? So this is the questions that we will solve in the next slide. So the question is, where do data come from? Okay, and how do we collect this data? So the broader topic is, what is the source of data? What is the sources? What are different sources of data? So a statistical data can be obtained from two sources. Okay, there are different data. There can be political data. Okay, there can be geographical data. But in case of statistics, there is some different features that we use in stats. So right now we are discussing about this collection of data in statistics. So we will fix our study to a statistical data. So statistical data can be obtained from two sources. The first one is primary source of data and the second one is secondary source of data. So now the data that comes from primary source will be called primary data, and the data that is collected from secondary sources are called secondary data. So this is the two broader sources from where we used to collect data. Okay, or any researcher, okay, anyone who do research, who go for making any project. So these are the two broader source that we have for collecting the data. So primary source and secondary source. Now these data are based on first hand information. Which data? The primary data. Primary data are based on first hand information. What do you mean by first hand information? First hand information means, if I have to ask a question to someone, I will go directly to that person and then I will ask that question to that person. There is no any mediator. I am not taking any answers from any other place. I am asking the questions to the person to whom I have to ask. okay, directly. That means I am physically present at the place where I have to ask questions. So that is called first hand information. Suppose if I have to collect data from a village, so if I go to the village, if I ask to each and every individuals there, okay, or if I have a sample, then I am asking to the people who are in sample directly, okay, to them directly. That is called first hand information. But if suppose those persons have given their opinion in some newspapers, and I am taking their opinions from any newspaper, that will be called secondary source of data, that will be called secondary data. But first hand information means I am collecting data from that individual, okay, directly. I am not taking their view from any newspapers, from any articles, from any magazines. No, I am taking their view directly from their mouth. I am there, I am physically present near to that person, and I am asking him, okay, or whatever number of the persons are there, I am asking each and everyone individually, okay, and I am taking their response, and then I am noting down on my paper. So that is first hand information. What is secondary source of data? When you take someone's opinions from any newspaper, magazines, okay, or you can see here secondary data are obtained from published sources such as government reports, documents, newspapers, books written by economists, or from any verified website. Okay, suppose there are some verified websites. So if you take data from there, from some website that is verified, so that will be called secondary source of data. Okay, you cannot take data from anywhere. Okay, you can't just simply Google and you will say this is the problem, this is the data. No, you will have to go to some verified websites, and if you take data from there, that will be called secondary source of data, that will be called secondary data. So this is the two difference between primary source of data and secondary source of data. Now what is the difference? You can say if you have very less time, okay, then you can't go for primary source of data, you will go for secondary source of data. Okay, if you have suppose any some serious topics, okay, or any that topic in which you have not to spend much money, you have not to spend more time, so in that way you will go directly for the secondary source of data. But suppose if you have time, okay, if your survey is very less, your questionnaire is very less, you can go for primary source of data too. So this is the thing that we have to do here, that we have to learn in this sources of data. Statistical can be obtained from two sources. The first one is primary source of data, and the second one is secondary source of data. So right now it's 11 o'clock. Okay, I am here, I am making this video at 11 p.m. At the night, because in the daytime I was just making this PPT and the time got over. I don't know how the time passed in the day, so I came here in the staff room at the night. Okay, it's 11 o'clock. So I am making it because exams are near to you people, so you could read all these things in a better way, you could understand these things, because for future also these topics are very important. These topics should be in your mind all the time, because these topics used to come at each and every platform of your study, at each and every exams you may face these things. So okay, let's go. So this was sources of data. A statistical data can be obtained from two sources. The first one is primary source of data, that is called primary data, and the second one is secondary sources of data, that is called secondary data. Okay, now the question is, how do we collect the data? How do we collect? Okay, how the data is collected, that is the topic, that is the subject, that is the subject, that is the chapter name, data collection. So how do we collect the data? Answer is by raising or asking questions. If I have to collect some data, okay, I will not just go somewhere and somebody will give me data. I have to ask some questions, I have to raise some questions. So that's the only way, or this is the way that I will collect some data, because data is just something, someone's opinions, someone's it can be point of view on something. So how it will come? It will not come directly. I will just go give me data and somebody will give me the data. No, I will have to ask some questions, I will have to raise some questions, and according to that he or she will respond, and then I will write all those things, and that will be called as data. So by raising or asking questions, The data is collected. Now if I have to go somewhere for survey, I have to collect data, then I will have to make questions. Okay, so a set of questions on a paper, that is called questionnaire. So now we will have to prepare instrument. What is instrument? So that paper that will include different questions, that is called instrument. Okay, and that is called questionnaire. So the most common type of instrument used in surveys is questionnaire or interview schedule. So the most common type of instrument is questionnaire. Now what is questionnaire? Questionnaire is a set of questions on a paper, on a sheet of paper. So this questionnaire will be made, on which there will be different questions, and that questions will be used to collect the data. Now features of questionnaire. Now we will have to see what should be the features of questionnaire, because we are writing questions on a paper, that is called questionnaire. Now which type of questions should be there, what should be the features of the whole questionnaire can be 3 pages, 4 pages, 5 pages. So what will be the features of questionnaire? Okay, so let's discuss some points. Okay, very few points. For detailing, you may listen to me right now, or you can read the book, NCERT book. It's very well maintained, written there. So I will make you understand all these topics, what these points mean. So the first thing is, the questionnaire should not be too long. The questionnaire should not be too long. The questionnaire should not be 10 pages, 15 pages. Okay, if it will be so long, it will become boring for the person who are responding, because I have to go to ask the person who might be busy in their work. So questionnaire should not be too long. This is the first feature of the questionnaire. The questionnaire should be easy to understand and avoid ambiguous or difficult words. Okay, your questions that you will write in a questionnaire, the questionnaire should be very easy. Questionnaire should be easy means the questions inside the questionnaire should be easy. There should not be difficult words. Suppose you are asking questions in English, so you should use very simple words such that the person could understand and the person could respond to your question. So the questionnaire should be easy. The questions should be arranged in an order. The questions should be in an order. It should not be jumbled from here to there. Okay, if you are asking about income of a person, your questions should be there at a time. Okay, so suppose you are talking about income, expenditure. So the questions related to income should be at the same place, at one place. The questions related to expenditure should be at one place. You can't ask one question from income, then the next question from expenditure, then again one question from income, then expenditure. So it's jumbled. You just go in an order. If you are asking about income, then you ask all the questions related to income at one time. Then you ask about expenditure, all the questions that is related to expenditure at one time. So the questions should be arranged in an order. The series of questions should move from general to a specific. That's also a very important topic under this features of questionnaire, that the questions should move from general to a specific, and you have to understand this topic very clearly. What is general and what is a specific? Now suppose there are two questions that I used to ask in the classroom also, okay, and have been discussed in the book also. Like if you go to any village, okay, to ask some question, okay, for a survey, then suppose there are two questions. The first question is, how is the condition of electricity in your village, okay, and the second question is, how much you pay for the electricity. Okay, there are two questions. What is the condition of electricity in your village, okay, then the second question is, how much you pay for the electricity. So what should be the arrangement of these questions? Which questions should be asked first and which questions should be asked later? So here, if somebody asks how much you pay for the electricity, and then after somebody asks what is the condition of electricity in your village, I think, or this is not the order of the questions. Okay, so general question is, what is the condition of electricity in your village? That is the general question. General means which is equal for all. Okay, because we are asking about the condition of electricity in your village. So that is a general question and it should be asked at first. Then after we move to a specific question like how much you pay for electricity or how much electricity will comes to your house in your home. So if you have to ask some specific questions, some general questions, so general questions should be asked at first and then after you have to ask about the specific questions. So that's the movement of the questions from general to a specific. Okay, so this was the topic. Then the other point is that is the questions should not use double negatives. Okay, the questions should not use double negatives. Like you can't ask the question in a way like don't you think this should not have happened, or don't you think he should not have done this or she should not have done this. So there are two negative terms. Okay, don't you think, one negative is here, don't. Then the next one is he should not have done this. So there are two negative words that you are using in any question. When you ask a question that includes two negative words, okay, then the question becomes very ambiguous. Okay, it's the people will confuse that what I have to respond, what I have to say. So your question should not have two negatives. Okay, it should be hardly one negatives, or better you ask in a very you frame a positive question. Always you frame a positive questions. Your questions should not have a negative words. If your questions have a double negative words, the questions is not valid to ask in any survey. It's better you escape those questions. Okay, you make very positive questions. The questions having positive sign. The questions should not have any negative words. Okay, so the questions should not use double negatives. Like don't you think he should not have done this, or she should not have done this? No, this is not the good form of questionnaire. Then the questions should not be a leading question. What does it mean? The questions should not be a leading question. In this case, when we say the question should not be a leading question, here we use actually leading questions means what? In this case, when we say the question should not be a leading question, that means I have not to say the answer of the question. Like if I have to ask to someone about the flavor of the tea, okay, or if I have to ask to someone about the taste of the tea, and let's see how I ask. If I ask someone, hey, how is the flavor, how is the taste of this flavored tea, okay, or high quality tea, how is the taste of this high quality tea. So this is a leading question. That means I am already telling that this is a high quality tea. Then the person before me will not say that the tea is bad. Never, because I am already telling that how is the taste of this high quality tea. So if I am asking question in such a way, then the person will have very specific answer. Okay, they will not have very diverse now reasons to speak that the tea is not good, because I am already asking how is the taste of this high quality tea. Okay, so when I am adding this word high quality tea, that's become the leading question. Okay, the questions have already answers. Okay, the person before me will say, yes, the tea is fine. Now the questions should not indicate alternative to the answer. This is also, these two are the last two features are very related. So the questions should not indicate alternative to the answer. The question should not have like answer. Means now this is the way. The question is what are you going to do after doing your course? You will be housewife or you are going for higher study. So we are putting two options there already in the question. What are you going to do after your course completion? You will go for housewife or you will go for higher education. So this type of alternatives we should not give. We should directly say what are you going to have after your course completion. Very simple. We have not to give the answers. We have not to give the alternatives in the question. So these are the features of questionnaire, okay, that you have to keep in your mind while asking questions, while doing survey. When you go to the field, these options, these features of questionnaire should be in your mind all the time. Then only you will have a good response, you will have a good data collection. Now what are the different ways of collecting data? Okay, So that is mode of data collection. So there are three basic ways, there are three basic modes of data collection that I think every one of you would be knowing about these things. So the first thing is personal interviews. This is the one thing, that is personal interviews. That means in which the person used to come physically present there one by one, and there are some interviewers who used to ask questions. So that is personal interviews, physically present. The second mode is mailing or questionnaire survey. Okay, you can send people mail, and you can send the questionnaire through mail, and they will respond you through the same mail or email. Then the third one is telephone interview. You can call someone and then you can ask whatever the question you have to ask. So there are different features, positive, negatives of these things, of these personal interviews, mailing, questionnaire, telephones. Like in case of telephone, what can happen? There is limited use. Okay. Now in case of personal interview, it's actually most expensive. It is expensive in nature, personal interview, because you will have to arrange, you will have to give more time. Okay, you will have to do one arrangement where people will come and you will ask question to them and they will respond you. But the thing is, yes, the disadvantage of personal interview is it is more time taking, but the advantage of personal interview is it is highest response rate. In case of personal interview, there is highest response rate. In case of telephonic interview, the person may not respond you, they may cut the call, okay, or they may say I don't know, because there is the rate of response is less in case of telephone. Okay. And mailed interview is least expensive. If we talk about mail or a telephone interview, so mailed interview is least expensive. Okay, so you can read about the features or the merits and demerits about these three modes of data collection from the book also. I was just discussing briefly about these are the three basics, and you can write by your own also which one is better, okay, and which will take more time, which will take less time. So those things you can write. Now let's go to the other topic, that is pilot survey. Okay, pilot survey. This is one also important, very important topic. So pilot survey is basically pre-testing of the questionnaire. Okay, when we make a questionnaire, a set of questions to ask for our survey, okay, for data collection. So pilot survey is pre-testing of the questionnaire. Now what is this pre-testing? So once the questionnaire is ready, it is advisable to conduct a tryout with a small group, which is known as pilot survey. Okay, so when we make a questionnaire, when we make a set of questions, okay, then it is advisable, that means it is advised that first of all you should ask these questions. Okay, you should use this questionnaire on a small group by your own choice. Okay, suppose I am going to field to ask questions, so first of all I will make a small group, okay, or I will find a small group. It might be my friends or anyone from the class. I will take by my own choice. Then I will use these questions, I will ask these questions to them. First of all, I will not go to the field directly. First of all, I will make a small group, I will ask these questions to them. Okay, so this process is called pilot survey. Now why we do this? Why we ask these questions to our friends first, to a small group first before going to the field? So why we ask these questions to a small group first before going to the field, which is called pilot survey? So now the reason is it helps in assessing the suitability of questions. The first one is suitability of questions. That means we will understand that our questions are suitable or not, our questions are arranged in an order or not. Then clarity of instructions. Okay, when you write your paper, okay, so there are 15 minutes for reading the instructions. Okay, so clarity of instructions, that means if I have to ask some question to someone, first of all I will give some instruction. Okay, so this pilot survey helps in clarifying the instruction, performance of enumerators, and the cost and time involved in the actual survey. So with the help of pilot survey we see all these things. Okay, why asking questions to a small group? Okay, then we learn, or then we understand that how much time it is going to take. Okay, so these are the things under these topics. Okay, so we discussed about different things, under this. So this was all about collection of data. Okay, so this is the part 1. This is the part 1 of this chapter. This is the part A. In the next part we will discuss about, as you can see here, in the next part of this chapter you will learn about these things. Okay, population and sample, random sampling and non-random sampling, sampling and non-sampling errors, sampling bias, non-response errors, census of India and NSSO, CSO and NSO. So these topics will be discussed in the part B. So right now we discussed about many things in this topic, so you can read there. So I thank you everyone for watching here, for learning. Okay, so keep watching and keep learning. So that's all. I thank you all from the Eco Zone. Take care. Goodbye.